In this lesson we will do texturing using Arnold renderer. I provide timestamps in my videos, so if you know a certain topic, you can just skip that part. Before doing any texturing, you need to first set up your renderer. Go to render settings, under production rendering mode, select Arnold. Go to system, turn on legacy support, then do the same in active shade mode. We have to turn on legacy support so that the default maps will work properly in Arnold. Before we go ahead, let me tell you guys about Envato Elements. It's a website with huge collection of digital assets like stock video, images, music, fonts, graphic templates, etc. and my favorite, video templates. You get unlimited access to all of this with a monthly or yearly subscription. Compared to other stock websites, this one is like 10 times cheaper. I've been using this for over 2 years now, and let me briefly tell you what you're gonna get. In stock videos, you get access to millions of videos shot on professional cameras, but that's not all. In that, there's animated backgrounds, transitions, particle simulations, action packs for VFX, even animals and birds on green screen. With graphic templates and elements, there's also add-ons in which you get presets and actions to automatically add effects on your images, and a variety of brushes for digital painters. But the biggest time saver for me would be the video templates. There's not only slideshows and corporate templates, there's editable action packs, animated icons, logo animations, lower thirds, special effects. There's even rigged 2D characters. I highly recommend trying Envato Elements yourself. You can use the link in the description and support me in the process. Alright, let's continue. Alright, first let's create a Arnold light. In shape, I'll select Sky Dome. Reset its rotation to 0. Under color, select texture and let's call an HDRI image. Use bitmap to call images. In the first lesson, I have shown you guys how to shoot a HDRI image with your phone. You can't edit this texture from here, so open material editor. I'll reset the slots. Now drag this, make an instance. Okay. So this is the HDRI image. You can see it's squished into a square. So here select environment and under mapping select spherical environment. Now it's proper. Okay, I'll be working on the chest piece, so hiding everything else. Let me change this material. So this object will have two materials, red outside and metallic on the inside. So to apply multiple materials on a single object, we will need something. So click on standard and in general select multi-sub object. Discard old materials. Set number of materials to 2. Here we get material IDs 1 and 2. Now we need to specify which polygons are ID 1 and which are ID 2. To do that, select the polygons you want. Go down in the set ID, type the number and hit enter. Also there is a select ID button. In case you want to select, just type which ID polygons you want and hit the button. Okay, back to multi-sub object. In the first slot, I'll make a red material. Pick physical material. Set base color to red. Go back. Add second material. This one will be grey. So that's how you add multiple materials on a single object. Now let's create proper materials. I'll replace the physical material with Arnold's standard surface. You can use the physical material as well since the settings are similar on both, and it can also render in Arnold and even in V-Ray. First change the base color to Ironman's red color. Okay, let's preview. Click and hold the render button and select active shade. Active shade will show a real-time render of our scene, but how fast this works will depend on your graphic card. You know, God gave you 2 kidneys for a reason. Okay, let's adjust some settings. I'll drop the specular value. Specular is basically reflectivity of the material. So if you want the object to have a reflective or shiny surface, then you have to adjust the specular values. We will use it to give the object a metallic look. I'll increase the metalness to 0.6. Leave this one for now, and let's go to the second material. Again, replace the physical with standard surface. Here I'll set the metalness to max, which is 1. Most values are between 0 to 1. Drop the general value and even metalness a bit. This side won't be visible in the camera, so I'm not gonna worry too much about it. Let's check the front. It's too bright, so I'll change the base color to grey. Okay, back to the red one. Now we'll do a little advanced stuff. We will add layers of different materials on top of this one in order to make it a bit more realistic. It's similar to photo editing when you add an image on top of other image, and the top image has some kind of transparency so that both are visible. Shout out to Mr. Sins for being here. Now please finish my video before you go to his. So here we'll be adding scratches and dirt materials on top of the red one and set up an opacity or transparency map for each layer. So click on standard surface and select layer shader. We will keep old material because we want the red one as the base material. Okay, you can see that material is added in layer 1. Now we will have to change modes because layer shader doesn't work properly in the compact editor. At least not in my version of Max. Maybe they will fix it in the later versions. Select Slate editor. This one is node based like Nuke or Unreal Engine. Don't worry, it's less confusing compared to the compact, I think. Okay, use Specular to select our material. Here you can see the entire set of material applied on the chest piece is visible. Everything is connected. You don't have to go back and forth like in compact editor. Here just select the material and its settings will appear on the right side. I'll rename this one. Okay, now let's create another material which will be the second layer. To create material in Slate editor, you can right click and select the one you want or simply drag from here. The material preview is not loading, so I'm gonna close and add it again. Here select follow current selection. Okay, this material will be small scratches, so this one will also be metallic, but I'll keep it less shiny. Now connect this to input 2. If I select this material, you can only see the second layer. We need to blend this too so that the second one looks like scratches which are on top of the base red material. To do that, we have to add an opacity map in this mix. Opacity map is a black and white map or image, you can say, which defines which part of the material will be transparent and which part will be visible. In 3ds Max, the way it works is the black color will make it completely invisible and white will keep it completely visible, and grey will make it semi-transparent depending on its shade. So let's call an image, select bitmap, and I'll pick this image. It's a simple tileable scratches texture. I'll provide its link in the description. Attach it to mix 2. Now you can see both materials are blending together. Okay, now let's reduce the amount of scratches. I'll rename this one and select this material in preview so it doesn't switch when I select other materials or maps. To reduce the scratches texture, I simply need to make the grey darker. So add color correction in between. Increase the contrast and reduce brightness. This is much better. Let's see it in active shade. This looks okay because this model was already unwrapped. You may not get the same result. Your texture may not be even visible because it's too small, or it might be stretching or something. Unwrapping will give us a proper control over the material's size and positioning over the object. There are various ways to do unwrapping, but we will use the most basic and the easiest one. Since we don't want a precise position for the scratches, I want them to be placed randomly. Okay, I'll make a new material just for unwrapping purpose. In the base color, add checker map and assign this material to the selection. And it's not visible. Turn on show shaded materials while the material is selected. Okay, I'll set the specular to 0 because in viewport that glossiness is distracting. And inside checker map, I'll increase tiling to make the checker pattern smaller. We are getting proper squares because this was already unwrapped. Some squares are deformed, but that's okay. Anyways, we'll do it again. For unwrapping, I'll add a modifier called UVW map. You can see this orange rectangle. This will define how the texture is applied on the object. I'll change mapping to spherical. Under alignment, click on fit so that it will cover the entire object. Now select gizmo and move this. By using sphere, we are getting rectangles, but our checker pattern has perfect squares. So that means it's stretching the texture. And obviously it will, because spherical mapping needs a spherical texture. Just like the HDRI image, that one will fit perfectly in spherical map. Or you can just scale the sphere and then change the UV tiling to increase or decrease the size of the texture. So this is one way to do it. Undo this first. I'll use box mapping. This one does have cuts where two sides meet, but it won't matter in this example. I'll rotate this a bit so there's no stretching on the top area. Okay, now go back to material editor. Assign this one again. There's not much difference because it was already unwrapped. I just wanted to show how to do it. Now let's hide some areas of the scratches so that it appears random. I don't want it everywhere on the model. To do that, we simply need to add black patches randomly on the texture. And make some space, and from maps pick noise and connect it. Select color 2, which is white. Noise is a random pattern of black and white, but we have replaced the white color with the scratches texture. Let me show what noise is. So this is the noise texture. I'll bring the high and low values closer to each other. It's like increasing contrast. And I'll set the noise type to fractal and increase levels to get more detail. As you guys know, that black area will become transparent. So here we have a texture which is randomly adding transparency in various places. And we want the white visible area to look like scratches. So attach the texture in the white. So this is what we get. Let's check active shade. Okay, now the texture is appearing in random places. Play with CC and noise to get the look you want. Moving on, now let's make bigger scratches. I'll use the same metal texture for now. Attach it to input 3. Let me rename. I forget to rename stuff. Again, let's make a opacity map. Use bitmap to call in a texture. Okay, again black will be transparent and white will be visible, but this texture is opposite. So I'm gonna go down to output panel and check invert. Okay, let's connect this to mix 3. Here the scratches look too big. Let's check in active shade. Yeah, it's too big. Back to the texture. I'll increase tiling to 2 on both sides. Now add noise just like before to hide some of the scratches. Nice. In noise, you can change the phase value to randomize the noise pattern so that the other parts of the scratch texture will become visible. Now I'll add some depth to the scratches. So open this one, let's make some space, and I'll connect the same opacity map in normal. Let me show you where it is. Here in normal bump. This won't work directly in Arnold. In V-Ray it works fine, but in this one we will have to add another node in between. So go to Arnold maps and select bump 2D. Drop it in the middle. Select bump map. In this you can set the bump height, but first let's see how it looks. You can see it has added a fake depth effect. This is too much though, let me decrease the bump height. Too little. And I'm gonna connect this to the base layer so the borders don't get cut off. Let's see. Okay, let's keep the bigger scratches brighter and more shiny. I'll copy this one, rename it, increase metalness to 1 and connect this one to the output 3. This looks okay. The small scratches look soft, so I'm gonna select the texture and drop the blur value. The default is always 1. Okay, now that scratches are done, let's add some dust. Add another standard surface. In base color, give it dust color. Connect this to input 4. Normally dust will sit on the corners or the edges of an object. We can't place it randomly on the model. So for this one we'll use a different map. In maps, go to Arnold, then surface, and in that select ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion can be defined as, I guess, contact shadows. Connect this to mix 4 and let's see what we get. Oh wait. Switch the colors. Now let's see. Nice, right? We got some dust here and a lot of it's here on the edges. This is just a quick way to add some extra detailing. We can again use noise to hide some of the dust and make it more random. This time I'll add it on the material itself instead of the map. Connect it to opacity. Okay, here instead of black I'll use grey so that the dust doesn't completely go away. I want to work more on this texture, but we are doing it for so long, so let's take a break, do other stuff and come back later. Okay, we want the scratches and all to be of same size on the entire model, so we need to do UVW mapping on all objects. One way to do it is to apply that checker texture we made earlier, apply it on all the models and make sure the box sizes are same. Or there's a more convenient way. Go over here to shaded, materials and override UV checker. This is showing how messed up the UV mapping is. The squares on the chest piece are fine, but the rest, some are stretched, some are big, some are too small. All the squares need to be of same size since we will be using the same red material on most objects. Okay, I'm gonna fix all of this by adding UVW mapping and come back.
2,000 years later.
Now we can apply the red material anywhere. Okay, I've made I think 7 materials and applied them all over. I'll show a few of them which are slightly different from each other. This one is another metallic material. Set base color to grayish. Max color weight. Reduce specular a bit. Set metalness to max. This will make it look like chrome. Not exactly chrome but close to it. Open active shade for making further changes. This object has two materials, the one we are working on and another is a light material. To add more detail, let's add a texture in roughness. This will also reduce the sharpness of the reflections. Reduce styling value to increase the size of the texture. This looks good enough. We don't have to add too much detailing because we are not working on a close-up shot. Alright, now let's do the light material. For this we don't need base color, don't need specular, don't need transmission, subsurface, coat, sheen, reflection. Just need emission. Max this value and in color I'll select light blue. That's it. It's not glowing or anything. We will add glow while compositing. Now the grill material. I'll set base color and specular values to match a metallic look. Go down. Don't need all of this. And in opacity, let's call a texture. Again white will be visible and black transparent. Increase tiling to make the hole smaller. Since this is a tileable texture, it will look seamless. Okay, let's render and see. Some holes are stretched. That's because the UV mapping is not done properly on this object. I'll leave it for now. You guys do it properly. Although this material is looking very flat. So let's add some bump to give the holes some depth. For this one I won't use the same texture but create a normal map instead. You can create normal map online. I'll provide link in the description. Drag and drop your black and white texture over here. You can see a live 3D result. I'll make it blur so the holes look smooth. Okay, good enough. Select the output format and download. Since this is a normal map, we will call it using Arnold's normal map and not bump 2D. Call it an input. Let's render and see. Oh wait, the tiling is not same as the opacity map. Hold on. In normal map, turn this off. Okay, good enough. Now for eyes, I want a light texture, but I want it to be brighter in the middle and darker near the edges. So we will blend two light materials together to make that effect. Again we will use opacity to blend them, but this time we will use Vertex paint modifier to create the opacity map. In Vertex paint, we can manually paint over the 3D object and specify where exactly we want both the materials to appear. Alright, select Vertex paint. First turn on shaded, so whatever you paint will be visible in the viewport. Here we have brush, eraser, paint all, erase all, color picker, and below we have blur to blend colors. First let's paint the entire object to black. So select black color and hit paint all. Then select brush, set color to white and start painting where you want the material to appear. We can use this technique on other objects also in case you want the scratches to appear on a specific area and not randomly anywhere. Now I'll use blur tool to make it softer. Okay, let's make the materials. Create a standard surface. I'm going to use the same blue color which we used in the other light material. Paste it in base color and emission. For this material I'm using base color as well because it gives better result while using vertex paint. Let's name this bright light. Hold shift and drag to make a copy. I'll name it dark light. Here select a dark blue color and paste the same in emission. To blend these two, we can use layer shader just like before, but since there are only two materials to blend, I'll use mix shader. They both work the same, but mix shader only has two slots. Okay, connect these two, and to call the vertex paint data over here, we'll use a map. In general, select vertex color. Now simply apply the material to the object. If the object has vertex paint modifier, it will automatically collect data and work. No need to do any other settings. You can see we got what we wanted. The upper part of the eyes is hidden behind the golden model, so it's not showing the dark shade on the top side. Let's add a bit of contrast to make it more visible. Select color correction and I'll increase the contrast. Okay, anyways, this won't be clearly visible in the camera, but I just wanted to show you guys the vertex paint feature. Let me unhide everything. The face is one model and eyes are just the elements in it. Turn off shaded once it's done. Alright, back to the red material. This is the base layer. In this, I'll add a texture in Specular Roughness. This is like old metal texture. See the difference it makes? Although it's taking away too much reflection. So let's invert and see. Okay, but it's still too rough. So in between I'll add a color correction. Even roughness values can be controlled by the color of the texture. So bright color will have more roughness and darker colors will have less. Drop brightness to reduce the overall roughness value. Okay, let's render and see. I'm gonna select region. I'll just render the chest area while we're testing. This looks good. I'm gonna reduce the brightness a bit more and render again. Alright, so this is the final result. By the way, the golden material is the same as the red one. I simply made a copy of the red material and then changed the base material's red color to golden. That's it. The rest of the layers, the big scratches, small scratches, dust, they are all the same as it is. That's why here you can see the big scratch continues on different materials. And that's also because they have same UVW mapping. Anyways, if you guys have any doubt, let me know in the comment section. And if you found this tutorial helpful, please hit the like button. In the next lesson, we will set up render passes and render it in Max and then composite it in After Effects. If the lesson is too long, I'll split it in two. We will be jumping back and forth in Max and After Effects because there are some tricks you can use to avoid animation in After Effects. I'll show you guys in that lesson. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.